Welcome, everyone. As everyone starts to join us, thank you so much for coming. We would love to hear where you are coming from or calling in from. So if you can go ahead and put in the chat, or sorry, the Q&A box where you are calling in from. And those of you on Facebook and YouTube, you can use the comment section. We're so glad you're all here tonight. We're just going to wait a few minutes before we get started. Wow, we've got lots of people from California, San Diego, and Fresno, and from Birmingham, Alabama. Hello. I see some representation from Michigan and New York, Texas, LA. Hello. Hello, Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, I used to live in Atlanta. I love Atlanta. New Jersey. Again, if you're just jumping on and you're wondering why I'm throwing out all these places of interest, we'd love to know where you're calling in from tonight. So if you can use the Q&A feature or your comment section if you're on Facebook or YouTube, we'd love to know where you're calling from. Tallahassee, Mississippi, San Diego, New Orleans, Orlando. My goodness, we have a lot of representation tonight. Well, everyone is adding that. Just to let you know, my name is Deborah Morgan. I am one of the Associate Directors of Admissions for St. George's University School of Medicine based out of Chicago, Illinois. So hello to anyone who is calling in from Chicago. I'm so excited that you are all here to learn about our School of Medicine. Now, we will be getting started in just a few minutes, but before we do, I just want to point out a few things to you all about using Zoom, just in case there's anyone who has joined us who might not be familiar with Zoom. So you should be able to see a bar along the bottom or even the top, depending if you're on a smartphone versus a computer, where you can access the Q&A box. Now you can use this Q&A box, or again, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you just use the comment section to ask any questions you may have throughout the presentation. We have a few St. George's graduates on, as well as admissions representatives who will be available to answer any questions that you may have. Now, during the presentation, we will also share some links with you. So you'll see those links in the chat box. So feel free to go ahead and open up the Q&A and your chat boxes, set them up on the side of your screen. Also, as we wait for everyone to get logged in, again, please tell us where you are calling from tonight by using the Q&A. Bahamas, Cayman Islands, someone from Mars. Excellent. Welcome, everyone. Wow, we've got a lot of people coming on. Oh, I saw Chicago pop up. That's where I'm from. Welcome, New York and New York City. Thank you all for joining us. Now, for those of you who just joined, please go ahead and let us know where you're calling from in the Q&A box. Again, my name is Deborah Morgan. I'm here with St. George's University. I am going to be behind the scenes tonight, and we are so excited to share this evening with you and tell you all about St. George's University. We have an incredible lineup of SGU graduates who have joined us tonight. They will be sharing their experiences with you, as well as answering the questions that you submit to us. We also have an admissions representative here who's also ready to answer any admissions questions that you may have. So without further ado, I am very honored to welcome you all and to introduce you to my wonderful colleague, Emily Massimi, who will be leading tonight's presentation. So let's please welcome Emily. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight too. We are so excited that you are taking out this opportunity to learn more about St. George's University. We know there's many different things that you can be doing, so we appreciate you spending the next hour or so to learn more about SGU. Now, as Deborah mentioned, my name is Emily Massini. I am based in the beautiful Napa Valley. I'm originally from the East Coast, but I've been calling California home for the last 14 years, and I'm very lucky to be able to have this opportunity to share more about SGU with you. Joining me also this evening, we have an amazing panel. We have two of our graduates and then also a current student. So they're going to tell you a little bit about their experience, why they chose SGU, what are they doing right now, and they'll also be available to answer any of those questions that you want to put in that Q&A box that you may have even individually for them or just in general. Now, that's a great tool to use too for any clarification that you might need on something that I've discussed this evening. We also have, as Deborah mentioned, a wonderful admissions team standing by, Christina, that can answer any of those questions for you as well. So real quickly, I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves. So Moody, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll have Lindsay and then Danish.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Moody Kassim. I'm a PGY4 neuro resident here in Toledo, Ohio. Let's see, I graduated from SGU in 2017. It feels like it was just yesterday. And I applied for a neuro residency, and I'm finishing my neuro residency now and going on to possible fellowship in vascular neurology. So time flies, and it's been a fantastic experience.
Wonderful. Thank you, Moody. And Miss Lindsay.
Hey guys, my name is Lindsay Wilburn. I'm currently residing in Houston, Texas. I have been doing the virtual thing since January, and so I have gotten that experience, but I did get some good experience on campus. So I just entered into my last semester before I get to take STEP and before I get to go into rotations. And so I am just getting out of what you guys will hopefully get into in the near future. So I'm here for you guys.
Wonderful. And my friend, my fellow Californian here.
Hi guys, my name is Danish Rastu. I did my undergraduate at UCLA. From there, went to SGU, got my MD and also my MBA from St. George's. I did my residency in family medicine and now work for Kaiser Permanente in Southern California. Looking forward to your guys' questions and hope to shed some light on the experience.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, Danish and I have spent a lot of time together this week because he assisted myself and my colleague, Wendy, who's in Southern California with the special California webinar, Doctors on Call. So I appreciate you taking some more time out of your schedule to hang out with me this evening. So also too, I want to make sure that everybody understands the way that our presentation is structured. We're structured in the top 10 questions that somebody like yourself, these are the questions that we get from prospective students. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to have the same questions, if not similar questions, that our other prospective students have had. So keep in mind, it's the top 10 questions, and we'll get into that in just a moment. St. George's University itself was founded over 40 years ago. We're on the island of Grenada, where it's pretty much always a sunny 85 degrees. And I can attest to the fact that the water really is that blue. I had the opportunity to visit campus, which what feels like sometimes just months ago, but it was last January. I had the opportunity to meet Lindsay and her mom there. I was there for the white coat ceremony, and it's an absolutely beautiful place to study, beautiful place to be, but we'll get into that in just a couple of moments here. Since our founding in 1976, we've graduated over 18,000 successful physicians. That's incredible. Considering that we were founded because we wanted to make sure we were helping with the physician shortage that existed in the 1970s. Now, AAMC is predicting that there'll be a physician shortage of over 100,000 physicians by 2034. That's really not that far down the road. So if this is your goal, this is what you want to be, you'll be helping to fill that physician shortage there. With over 18,000 successful physicians, you have the opportunity of being a part of this incredible network who are practicing medicine all over the world. And these 18,000 physicians too, they want you to be successful as well. But before you can even think about joining the alumni network, you have to think about, how can I actually get there? And that brings us to our first question of this evening, which is, will I get a US residency? Your residency is your first job out of medical school. So it's incredibly important to know that, yes, you can obtain a US residency. Last year alone, we had a 95% placement rate of those graduates who are eligible for a US residency. It was over 1,100 US residencies. We're the #1 provider into first-year US residencies for the last 11 years combined. Again, proof that we're helping with that physician shortage. Our graduates secure more US residencies than any graduate of any other medical school in the world. Huge, something very important and something that you want to keep in mind. This year alone, we've had 1,067 US residencies and counting, and they've matched into over 20 different specialties. So if you want to go into family medicine, if you want to go into urology, if you want to go into anesthesiology, those are opportunities for you to match. And we have SGU graduates who have matched there recently and are also practicing in those specific fields. No other medical school in the world provides more new doctors into the US healthcare system than St. George's University. That's incredible, something to really think about there. We have the largest source of licensed physicians for the current US workforce. And again, our physicians are practicing medicine all across the US, not just here in California, not just in Chicago, every single corner of the US, even Alaska, Hawaii, Florida, Maine, all over. Now, when you are looking at our competitors, you're looking at that source of physicians for the entire US workforce, look at where we are. SGU, been around for just over 40 years. And then you have Indiana School of Medicine, and they've been around for over 100 years. Again, SGU just 40 years, incredible. A large part of this is really due to the different departments that we have on campus. Not only do our alumni want you to be successful, but everybody on campus and involved at SGU also wants you to be successful. One of the first departments there is our Office of Career Guidance and Student Development. They're there to help make sure that you have that personalized residency strategy, whether it's a timeline for exams, helping you with your CV or your resume, your personal statement, your interview skills. They want to help you get that residency of your choice. So they're going to make sure that you have everything put together, you have everything set so you're ready to go when it comes time to interview. Now, what one of our graduates, Dr. Carolina Petro, had to say about residency was, I'm excited about my residency because it's beautiful, state-of-the-art hospital with all the specialties, and it's close to home. Now, because Moody's just about to wrap up his 4-year-long residency, Moody, I'd love to hear a little bit about your residency process and what life is like.
Yeah, so during your, you can really start as early on as your 3rd year, but your 3rd and 4th year, basically doing your clinicals, you can reach out to Office of Career Guidance and kind of get, as early as you want, like I said, guidance on specifically, what residency you're wanting to get, and they'll kind of basically tailor your entire application to what you want to do, and they'll give you excellent tips from your personal statement to your interview style to everything. They really kind of spoon feed you if you really need to on how to land the perfect residency that you want. And then once you get that, it doesn't end there. I mean, you're always able to reach out to OCG, and someone's always available to help you, which is what I really liked. I mean, you're part of a family when you're part of SGU. Whether you're at SGU, whether you're applying for SGU, whether you graduate from SGU, someone's always there. The alumni network, the OCG office, or even colleagues and professors even on campus, they're all kind of there to help and guide you. Once you graduate and you get the residency, you'll get all kinds of contacts from the school that'll kind of reach out and say, where are you at? They always want to touch in and see how you're doing. So it's a really great family feeling. The school really streamlines the process to get the residency that you want. And there's just a flood of support, basically.
Wonderful, thank you. And I also know that Danish has done some interviewing of folks who want to become residents at his previous hospital. So Danish, if you could just share a little bit about that process, we would love to hear.
So interviewing for a residency spot, once you get to the interview phase, nothing really else matters but being yourself, really. The hardest part is actually getting to the interview phase. And in order to get to the interview phase, you have to, do really well in medical school. there's something new where the board exams, which I'm sure Emily will talk about a little bit later, have kind of switched over to pass or fail, not so much a score anymore. But I believe USMLE Step 1 is still a score, is still scored. And the good thing is SGU, their curriculum is integrated in a way that prepares you for your board exam. And that board exam is paramount to your success. It is basically your success hinges on that score. And so when picking a medical school, one of the biggest factors that I looked at as a potential student, and that I would tell anyone else looking into going to medical school, would be go to a school that will prepare you to do the best you can on that US medical license exam. Because it is that score that will determine your future as a doctor in this country, which starts with residency. And so you want to pick a school that's going to teach you what you need to succeed and get a good score on that test. And you want to go to a school which kind of has it integrated. There's a lot of my colleagues that had to take a couple, 2 to 3 months off after they finished their their didactics, the first 2 years of medical school, just to study for that test. Whereas if you ask a lot of people from SGU at the end of their didactics, within 6 to 7 weeks, maybe 5 weeks for some people, they're ready to take that test, because as you go along, all the material that you need to know to do well and pass that exam is integrated into the curriculum already. So I won't go too in depth or too far as to what the interview process is really like for residency. But keep in mind, the main thing that everyone should focus on right now is doing the best they can with their medical knowledge and study very, very hard for that medical license exam.
I think that's wonderful advice. Study hard, be there, but also think about the success of SGU graduates. When we're talking again about the number of SGU graduates that match every single year, we're the #1 provider of physicians. Those are key things that you really do want to look at when you are looking at medical school. And we'll get into those step exams in just a couple of questions here. But really, before you can even think about your residency, you have to complete your clinicals. So this is a great opportunity for you to think about, okay, what is it that I want to specialize in? We have many students who do come into SGU knowing, yes, I want to be a surgeon. I know Lindsay had said before that that's her goal, that she wants to go into surgery. But perhaps that might change when she does do her clinicals. This is a great opportunity, and this is during your 3rd and 4th year. At St. George's University, we have a carefully built network with over 70 different hospitals and health systems. It's an opportunity for you to maybe go back to your home area or go someplace else and gain exposure to different health systems. What is medicine like in California versus Brooklyn, New York? It's going to be different there. Now, it's also important to understand that all of our students during their clinicals, they're going to take the same 6 core rotations that any other US medical student is going to take. It's going to be internal medicine, emergency med, pediatrics, OB-GYN, psych, and surgery. Again, it's the same exact core rotations there. Now at SGU, we want to make sure that we're providing our students as much as possible to make sure that you're going to be successful. And another key to that is ensuring that we have those clinical spots. So we actually have more spots available than we have students, because we don't want you to have to wait. We don't want you to have to stress about it either. Now, Lindsay's in the process of starting to look at clinicals. When she gets back to campus in about a week or 2 there, she'll start that process to figure out where she's going to complete those clinical rotations. But as Danish was talking about too, those board exams, this brings us to our 3rd question of, does my education at St. George's University prepare me for the USMLE? Again, that's the key to a competitive residency. The USMLE, the United States Medical Licensing Exam, there's 3 different levels to it: Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. So oftentimes you'll hear people just talk about your steps, and that's what they're talking about, those USMLEs. You're going to take your first one after you complete your basic sciences, which is after your 2nd year of school. Now in 2019, we had a 94% first-time pass rate for our students, and those were students from 48 different countries. That's really evidence that our curriculum is taught to set you up for success. In fact, we have many SGU students that say that when they sat for those board exams, it made them feel like they were taking another SGU exam, because we want to make sure we're providing you with that knowledge there. So our SGU exams really resemble the look and feel of the USMLEs. I'm sure many of you have sat down to take an exam, a midterm or a final, and it looks nothing like what your professors have quizzed you on or any of the formats there before. And you sit down and you have that nervous moment of, do I really know this information? Well, we want to take that guessing game out of it. So that's why we make sure that we're, number one, teaching you. We want to make sure the curriculum and the faculty and the student support are all there to support you throughout those STEP exams there. Now, as I mentioned, that STEP exam is after your second year of school, so right here between your second and third year. Now, with St. George's University, you're doing your first 2 years in Grenada, or you can actually do your first year at our campus in the UK in Northumbria, and then you would go to Grenada for your second year, and then your third and fourth year are those clinicals, where you have the opportunity to complete those in the US, Canada, or the UK. We also have some really amazing opportunities for you to see medicine at the global level too, with our different selectives, whether you want to go to Kenya, the Czech Republic, Thailand, Sweden, India. And I know that Moody, you were able to complete a selective while you were a student at St. George's University. So could you share with us a little bit about your experience with the selective and why you actually chose to do a selective?
Yeah, the selective in Grenada was really interesting. It was effectively, I think it was called community medicine, but it was really more of like an emergency medicine or trauma and casualty scenario, if you will, at the general hospital. And, you know, when you're in your second year, you're going to do a lot of clinicals, you know, off-site, off of campus, and you kind of get to experience the clinics, but you're doing a lot, you're kind of doing everything. And the selective was interesting in the sense that it gives you more opportunity to see more of kind of acute care and kind of, you know, the front line of what goes on in the hospital there. And it was invaluable. I mean, it was fantastic. It was a really good experience.
Great, thank you. I know that I've spoken with some of our graduates who they've gone to Kenya and had an opportunity to help deliver a baby. And that's something that they're doing between their first and second year of school that a lot of other medical students don't have that opportunity to do so. But we want to make sure that our students are seeing that global medical world there. So if you have the opportunity to take advantage of a selective, I highly recommend it, but it's not required. Now, another one of our fabulous graduates here, Dr. Mathenge, said, the academic structure of St. George's University with regard to providing the necessary resources and foundational materials and knowledge to be successful was incredible. SGU provides amazing support, not only from the faculty and clinical counselors, but also peer-to-peer mentorship. The camaraderie among students at SGU is second to none. Again, we want you to succeed, but also your peers want you to succeed as well too. Now, your peers want you to succeed, but also how are we really going to support you throughout your entire medical education? This is an incredible thing that we do, and we really value the importance of small group learning, which is why 75% of your classes and labs are going to have an 8-to-1 student to faculty ratio there. This gives students the opportunity to have individual attention. You're encouraged to ask questions and learn at a pace that's going to be comfortable for you too. It's also an opportunity for you to fully engage in the material there, get to know your different faculty members there, and also get to know your peers, study with your peers, learn the information, and make sure that you understand it. We really want to make sure that we're creating an environment that promotes the opportunity for you to master the material as a student, because then you're going to have that information and knowledge ultimately as a physician. Now, we also have that dedicated support system focused all on your success. We have state-of-the-art facilities with our simulation lab. We actually have robots that can simulate a heart attack or somebody going into labor, and you as a student have the opportunity to have that hands-on experience. We also have actors that come to campus so that you can see what is it like to actually take the history from someone. That's an important thing. We want to make sure you understand that bedside manner. It's important to understand the facts, but also you have to be a person and be able to interact with other people too. It's really important us at SGU, and I'm going to have Lindsay talk about that in just a moment since she's been able to experience that firsthand there. But I also want to make sure that you understand that at SGU, you have the benefits of a large university, of that community there, but the feeling of a small college. Prior to your first term of school, all students are divided into one of our 9 different schools of medicine. I often will use the Harry Potter sorting hat reference here, but I do realize I might be dating myself there, but it is very similar to figuring out which house you're going to be going into. But everything at SGU is really designed and implemented with the success of our students in mind. We want to make sure that you have those small colleges so you can really get to know your peers, get to know your faculty members there. It really helps to promote that peer-to-peer learning and your academic family. Now, Lindsay, since you have gone through this just about a year and a half ago, tell us a little bit about the facilities that are on campus. I know that you had to leave the island just about a year ago due to the pandemic, but share with us your experience and what you've been able to do since we've been virtual.
Yeah, so I began in January 2020, right before COVID hit hard. So I was fortunate enough to be able to study on the island some. So in these colleges, they're broken down, like she said. And so you have a smaller group of people that you're doing activities with. And then amongst your colleges, you're also further broken down into small groups of 8 students. And that group of 8 students, you will be paired with a clinical facilitator when you do small groups. That's the group you do your labs with. That's the group you do your sim labs with. That is kind of your posse for the term. And you are paired one-on-one with a clinical facilitator during that time. But some of the resources on campus, we have an awesome sim lab. Unfortunately, I only got to go in there a couple times before we went online, but they really are it. You get to listen with your stethoscope and can talk to you, and you get to ask questions, and they'll sweat and they'll breathe heavily. And it's a nice way to get some good experience that is a little bit low key, low stakes. You can't kill a sim lab patient. I also was able to do a couple clinical skills labs put on by some of the organizations there. So I was able to go in and I learned how to intubate a sim patient. And so there are a lot of resources on campus to be able to get that hands-on experience. You know, they talked about the paid actors that come in. SGU has a nice imitation clinic where you get to go in and you get to speak to these actors like they are patients. You get to go and you get to do a patient history, you get to do a physical exam, and it's in a room set up like a clinic. So you are in there simulating as best as you can before you get to clinical rotations, what that experience is going to be like. And you get feedback from the clinical facilitators, from the patients in how you do it. And so there's a myriad of ways that SGU prepares you for that contact in pretty much every aspect of medicine right there.
Absolutely. I think, we want to make sure that your first time interacting with a patient is not when you're starting those clinical rotations. We're going to make sure that you have that as early on in your education as possible. And Lindsay did touch upon our faculty here. So we have over 2,000 faculty members at St. George's University. Now, when you are not in the classroom, you're still going to be supported. You're going to be supported by about 1,500 different clinical faculty members, whether they're at our different clinical rotations or they might even be on the island. Everybody at SGU has that terminal degree of an MD or a PhD. We have visiting distinguished professors that come to lecture to our students or to even learn more about SGU and what we do and how we are teaching medicine. One of the great things about Grenada itself, not just SGU, but Grenada, is that it's a small island. So where you shop, it's going to also be where your professors are shopping too. You're going to see them at the grocery store. You might see them at the beach, maybe out, doing things with their family. They want you to stop by and say hello. They love to get to know you because they love what they do. They have a passion for medicine, but they have a passion for teaching, and they want you, again, to be successful. So we always encourage our students to get to know your professors. They're humans too. So talk to them, chat with them. I know that you guys can't see, but the folks in the background, Lindsay, Moody, and Danish, are all nodding their heads that yes, they have experienced this. They have run into professors out and about there. So take advantage of that. So we have that Office of Career Guidance. We have the small group learning there, our support with the USMLE. Another department that helps to support you is our Department of Educational Success. they're there to help you be the best possible student that you can be. It's our version of the special sauce, if you will. Again, we want you to excel in medical school. This is something that's included in tuition. DES actually produces over 400 weekly workshops. And these workshops could be anything from time management to study skills to different study groups as well. You can even go in and talk to DES and say, hey, I need help with this. I don't think I'm studying right. Am I taking my notes wrong? And they'll do a full assessment and help you learn, okay, maybe you need to sit in lecture and listen to it first, then listen to it again on recording and then take notes, whatever that may be. They're there to help you grow as a student. And that success there will help you be successful throughout medical school as well. Now, what one of our SGU alums, Josh Ramjas, has to say is, moving into residency, I was able to adapt to whatever the needs were. Each step built on the other. I think I was a very good resident because I was a very good clinical student. And I was a very good clinical student because I had a strong basic sciences foundation. That's what we do here at SGU. We layer on the clinicals, and then you get the ultimate goal of residency and being that practicing physician. Now, I know that several of our panelists have had experiences with DES on their own there. So, Lindsay, I would love to hear about your experience with DES, and I know that you're also a facilitator, so please share that with us.
Yeah, so when I entered into SGU, I was put into something called the Academic Enhancement Program, AEP. This is a program through Department of Educational Services, and it is an extremely coveted program, something that I am very grateful I was put into. What happens is you get put into a group of 8 to 10 of your classmates, and then you get 2 upper term co-facilitators, and you meet with them every single week. You can go over practice questions, you go over study resources, you go over material, and you can just have them for moral support. That was an incredible resource. And then when I moved into my second term, I became an AEP facilitator, and I became a peer learning group facilitator. But even if you're not put into AEP, there are still other programs. You have open peer learning groups where upper term facilitators hold reviews every single week that you can sign up for. So those are some of the more structured programs, but you can contact a learning strategist. You can sit down with them and you can go through your study skills. And something that I have come to extremely respect about SGU and realize is that SGU doesn't wait for you to fail until you almost fail out to intervene. After every single exam, they're going to assess your performance. And if they see you start to dip a little, they're going to reach out and they're going to request a meeting. It's not a reprimand. It really is just to say, hey, how can we support you? And you can meet with a learning strategist. You can meet with an academic advisor, and they really want to sit down and say, okay, what did you do for this exam? What maybe worked? What maybe didn't work? How can we help you transform yourself into, the most successful student you want to be? And so SGU, every step along the way, is kind of checking in like, hey, how can we help you? How can we help you? And so the Department of Educational Services, they are there simply to make sure that you succeed. And I have worked very closely with the head of DES, and she is so passionate about her students. She loves working with students, and not only working with students, but progressing forward and asking, how can we better assist you? How can we better get resources to the students? And so they really want to push you and make sure that you have every single avenue to succeed that you possibly can.
I think that's wonderful. And it's so true that we want to see you succeed. So we're going to give you all the tools and resources possible so that you can do that. You can take it and run with it there. I know that Moody has also worked with DES as a facilitator teaching classes, and I believe that Danish has as well too. This is something that's included in your tuition, and it's a part of the culture too. So I encourage all students to take advantage of this resource that's available to you. If this is what you want, then use everything and anything possible to help get you to that end goal. Now, this brings us to our 5th question, which is, where will my SGU medical degree allow me to practice medicine? We like to say, train here, practice anywhere. You can practice anywhere in the US and Canada. We have SGU graduates who have practiced in more than 50 different countries. Now, remember, if you graduate from St. George's University, you get to join those over 18,000 successful SGU physicians. If you want to practice in other countries, say Egypt, that Office of Career Guidance can help you with your licensing, help you with that process too. We have students from over 100 different countries. They're not all from the US or Canada or the UK. They're from all over the world. When I had that opportunity to be at Lindsay's white coat ceremony, I was amazed at hearing where our graduates were from. And I know we have several folks who are international this evening joining us from Trinidad and Tobago, from Mexico. We had students from New Zealand, Egypt, from China as well, all over the world really, that are students at St. George's University. I know I've had graduates tell me that they can travel around the world and always have a place to stay. And that's very true. Hopefully some of these graduates will allow me to crash on their couch at some time here, because we've got grads from some pretty incredible spots. But when you are looking at medical school, you also want to make sure that the school is accredited. Now, St. George's University is a fully accredited medical school. We're accredited by the Grenada Medical and Dental Council, or GMDC. Now, the US Department of Education deems SGU's accreditation comparable to US accreditation, which means that all US students are fully eligible for student loans, just as if you were attending school in the US. Additionally, it also allows you to obtain those clinical rotations in the US, something very important to keep in mind. But that's all of the business stuff, the academic stuff, all about work ethic. It can't all be about studying and no life there. So that brings us to our sixth question of, what will my life be like at St. George's University? We're going to have fun, right? You're on a beautiful island. We've got wonderful accommodations and amenities that are there to help support you and your studies. Whether you're using one of our 3 different libraries or you're taking advantage of the shuttle service. No, you don't have to have a car on campus, or some students do choose to get scooters or mopeds there. There is a shuttle that will take you to the grocery store or even to the beach if that's what you want to do. Our housing, there's bi-weekly housekeeping there. So one less thing again that you have to worry about. There's Wi-Fi, laundry on each floor. Our fitness center that was completed, unfortunately, after Moody and Danish graduated, but it's an 8,400 square foot fitness center with beautiful views of the Caribbean Sea. Not a bad place to work out. I know I would enjoy that much more than looking at my fence and seeing my neighbors. Would much rather seeing the ocean there. But we want to make sure that you have all of those things available to you, whether it's the different food or the coffee shop we have on campus that's called Ritual, that looks just like Starbucks. I think it's better than Starbucks, but I'll leave you to make your own decision there. Also, we want you to stay involved. If you're an undergrad or even in a post-bac program, or maybe this is a little bit of a career change for you, we want you to be able to be involved in different clubs and organizations, whether they're faith-based or philanthropic clubs and organizations. There's something really there for everyone. We have the largest AMSA chapter than any other university. We actually even hosted the 2017 National Conference, which was the first and only time that it's been held outside of the US. There's great opportunities for you to get involved and give back, which I'm going to have our folks talk about in just a moment here. But if organized things aren't for you, we also have different sports and recreation. I mentioned that amazing fitness center there, which you can see some pictures of it in the lower middle picture right here. That's from our fitness center. Or maybe you want to take advantage of our sunrise or sunset yoga. Not too shabby there. Maybe you have an interest in snorkeling or diving. Grenada's been named one of the top 5 dive spots in the world. And Time Magazine just named us, the country as a whole, one of the top 20 most beautiful places to be. Not a bad place to go to medical school, right? So I know that everybody's been involved. I know Lindsay's involved in SGA. I know Moody was involved. Danish was involved as well too. So Danish, if you are able to come back, I would love to hear about your involvement while you were on the island, things that you got to do with your friends or with the different clubs and organizations.
Sure. SGU has a ton of avenues and opportunities for you to take advantage of. One of the best things about it is that if you go there and you don't see a club or organization that's already in existence, you can make one. There is a surgery club, there is the Red Cross Club. There's tons of them, too many to list. But if you're into sports, there's a lot of intramural sports that can be played. Flag football, basketball, ultimate frisbee. It's pretty competitive. It's fun. It takes your mind off of the studying that you have to do all the time. And like Emily said, it's a beautiful island. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. The locals are very, very kind. It's kind of a mutual relationship. And so I encourage everyone to go off the island. I'm sorry, not off the island, off campus, and meet people, learn about the culture, learn about the people. As Just a side note, when you go into medicine, one of the best things about SGU is that you're gonna meet people from all over the country and the world. And take that opportunity to learn about as many cultures and backgrounds as possible, because as a doctor, as a physician, you're going to need to tap into that. You're going to have to understand where people are coming from, their cultural differences, because ultimately, if you don't understand where your patient's coming from, there's nothing you can do to help them. And SGU gives you that opportunity because a lot of the people that you're attending classes with are coming from different backgrounds, possibly different countries, different cultures. And you are living in a different country, the country of the island of Grenada, which has its own culture and tradition. So take advantage of that. Take advantage of the fact that you can make friends with locals that will teach you and show you places that may not show up in the brochures or tourist attractions. They'll take you to the coves and beaches and snorkeling spots that only locals know about, that you may never experience ever again. So there's rainforest there that you can go hiking through. You can see the waterfalls. You can go kayaking. You can do the catamarans. When I was there in 2010, we used to have this Fish Friday in Goyab, a place called Goyab. And you can take a catamaran during the sunset, and it'll take you to that part of the island, and they'll catch fresh fish and crab and lobsters and grill it for you right there. I'm not sure if that's still going on because of COVID and a little bit of overfishing I heard a couple years ago. But there is catamaraning and scuba diving. One of the cool things about scuba diving is you can get certified in scuba diving, and you can take that certificate anywhere in the world, and it's recognized. It is much, much, much less expensive to get scuba dive certified in Grenada than it would be, let's say, in the Bahamas or Hawaii or Florida or something like that. But so many things to do. When I went there in 2010, there was very few amenities. Now, when I went back, last time I went back in 2018, there's like a whole new city. There's microbreweries. There is a bowling alley. The shopping center. There's just so much to do to have there that if you choose to go to SGU, you will be very comfortable. There's a lot of food options, a lot of drink options, a lot of extracurricular activity options. And so a lot of things to do.
I don't think anyone can be bored being in Grenada. If you're bored, I would like to think that you're doing something wrong there, but there is so much to do there. And the locals are so warm and welcoming and friendly and get so excited to know that you have anything to do with St. George's University. Now, I know that Lindsay is a member of our student government. So Lindsay, share with us a little bit about your role with SGA and SGA's role within SGU. That's a tongue twister there.
Yes, so I'm on the executive board of the Student Government Association. My position is president of SOM affairs. So essentially, if it has to deal with SOM, it comes to me. And so SGA is extremely prolific at SGU, and anybody knows if something goes wrong, you go to SGA. And so what we do, we take concerns about anything and absolutely everything, and we communicate it to the appropriate administration. So SGA is the direct link from the student body to administration, and SGA has our hands in basically every single pot there is on campus. And so, you know, if it has to do with student well-being and mental health, we have our hands in that pot. Academics, of course, that one. Operations, non-academic, absolutely everything. We have relationships with all of the departments on campus, all of the administration, and we talk to them all the time, and they know us by name, and we can text them, we can email them, say, hey, we need to get this done. And you know, as an executive board, there are 14 of us that help govern SGA. And we can, you know, request an emergency meeting if something happens, and we can advocate for the student body if something comes up. And so what we really do is we want to be the voice for the student body to administration. We want to make sure that our voices are always heard, that if something comes up, they know the student perspective. And so we have committees for essentially everything. We can talk to the appropriate departments when things come up. And we really just want to look out for everybody on campus, and that's student government.
Wonderful, thank you. And it was the student government that they helped to advocate for their peers, and that's why there's the beautiful new fitness facility. And they're continuing to add things just to help make that student experience that much better, that all in the end leads to your success. Now, Moody, I know you were involved in a couple of specific clubs while you were at SGU. Can you share with us, will you share with us those clubs and how they help to play a role in your life as a physician now?
Yeah, so I was involved in SGA, just like Lindsay as well. And I was one of the class reps. That was, I mean, in terms of just from a leadership standpoint, it's a great thing to be involved with. Any kind of executive board position on any club is a great thing to be involved in, because it gives you a lot of hard and soft skills of communication, dealing with the university and with other organizations and different personalities. It's fantastic. You'll get all that experience if you join any of the clubs there. I was particularly involved in the Muslim Student Association, and then the photography club. So the Muslim Student Association, it's faith-based, obviously. They did a lot of, and just like other organizations, you're going to find a lot of off-site or off-campus events. You'll see all kinds of, like, you know, helping at the orphanage, just all kinds of stuff. The photography club, I don't know if I'd say that helped me with residency, but I will say that I learned a lot of techniques that help with some of escapism, especially like when you're in residency and life is brutal, really. So any kind of escapism is good. So photography is kind of my escapism, and I think that the club really helped with that and kind of hone in my very poor skills before. I'd say they're still poor now, but not as poor as they were before I joined the club. So yeah, that was those are the clubs I was involved in, and then helping out whenever I can with really anything that was needed on campus.
Wonderful, thank you. And it might not be that photography club has helped you in your professional career, but you can also make connections that way, and your peers, and getting to know people that you might need to give them a call one day and use them as a consult on a case and just pick their brain about something. So being involved is a great thing to do. We have an emergency medicine club. That might be something of interest to you. I was on attending one of our seminars last night for our School of Veterinary Medicine, and the vets were talking about a business club that they were members of as students within the School of Vet, and how helpful that was. So you never know what type of organization might be able to help you further on down the road. But I know we've talked about all the amazing things about SGU, the fun things to do, the snorkeling, the scuba diving. We have an underwater sculpture garden in Grenada, the fitness center, the food, everything there. How can you actually see this beautiful and amazing place where you have the opportunity to study medicine? Well, currently, right now, we are not inviting prospective students down to campus, but we do in the future have an opportunity called SGU, where you get to come to Grenada for 3 nights, 4 days there. And we actually reimburse you for your hotel and your flight if you decide to matriculate into SGU. But in the meantime, we do have a wonderful virtual tour that you can access right online, which Deborah's going to go ahead and share that link with you folks in a moment. We do hope to resume the SGU in the next couple of months. Our students are returning to Grenada for this August term here. So it's just a matter of time before we're able to invite more people down to the island. And if you have the opportunity to go visit Grenada, I highly, highly recommend it. I know I personally cannot wait to go back there to visit. Now, is there financial aid? This is our 8th question here, and this is a big question. It's a big investment in your time, but also monetarily. The cost of medical school can seem a bit overwhelming. I'm here to let you know that over 75% of our incoming students from the 2020-2021 four-year medical school program obtained scholarships from St. George's University. We understand that it can be daunting there, and that's why we're here to assist you with it from the entire process. So we have a dedicated financial aid team that's going to help you from the time that you're admitted, figuring out your finances, to the time when you graduate. We don't want you to be worried and stressing about how are you going to pay for school, and that's why we have a team that's going to help you decide what that budget is. What does that look like? But also too, they're going to let you know what scholarship opportunities you qualify for, whether it's an academic or a need-based, maybe a humanitarian scholarship. Maybe you've been really involved with different things in your community, helping out and giving back to your community. You could be a great person for our humanitarian scholarship, or even the Dean's Award. Now, it's also important to keep in mind, when I was talking about that accreditation before, it's because of this accreditation that our students are able to qualify. Our US citizens and permanent residents are able to qualify for federal financial aid. So you'd want to fill out that FAFSA just like you did probably during undergrad. You fill that out, put in St. George's information there, and that gets sent over to us. We really don't want finances to stand in the way between you and achieving your goal of becoming a practicing physician. Now, all of that sounds fine and dandy. When I listen to our graduates, they make it sound so easy. Sometimes I think, oh, I should just apply to medical school, but I don't have the science background there. But we do have 3 different opportunities throughout the year for you actually to enroll at St. George's University. We start in August, April, and January, and we are currently accepting applications for our August 2021 class. So hopefully you're going to submit your application after we finish this evening. Now, it's a fairly simple process there. You can submit your application. If you filed your AMCAS or your ACOMAS application, you will need to send us the PDF of that application. You can go online to our website at sgu.edu/apply and fill out the SGU application, and that will get sent right over to us. Once we have that, we do need your MCAT scores, your official transcripts from any school that you've attended, as well as we look for 2 letters of recommendation. Then we get that information. Our committee will review that and say, yes, Lindsay looks like she would be a good fit for SGU. Let's interview her. You have an interview with typically one of our SGU graduates. I know Danish has been one of our interviewers in the past there. You get your admissions decision, you get your acceptance letter, submit your deposit, book your flight to Grenada, and next thing you know, you've already started this journey into medical school. We do have rolling admissions, so if you are looking to start right away, if you want to start in August, again, submit that application. We've got a wonderful team, like my colleague Christina, who's in the background tonight answering all of those wonderful questions that are coming in. Christina is able to help you throughout that entire process, but maybe August isn't right for you right now. If you're looking at January, April, or even next August, we're here to help you throughout that entire process. Now, we do a holistic review, so we're going to look at you as an individual applicant. We're not going to be looking at your application compared to other people here. We're going to be looking at you as an individual. What do your academics look like? What do your letters of recommendation say? How about that personal statement? Why do you want to become a physician? Is it something that happened in life? Is it you always wanted to become a physician? Whatever it may be, we want to know more about you, and we want to make sure that we're the right fit for you and you're the right fit for us as well too. Now, this does bring us to our last and our final question for this evening for our formal presentation is, why is SGU the place to start my medical career? That's a great question. We've learned so much this evening, whether it's our outstanding residency placement rent. Remember, over 1,000 US residencies this year and even last year too. Our clinical rotations, over 70 different hospitals and health systems for you to go and complete those rotations at. Our Department of Educational Services, we like to say, and it's perfect timing too, because the Olympics start tomorrow, every Olympian needs a coach. Well, DES is our version of your Olympic coach there. They're there to help cheer you on and get you to that finish line and get you that gold medal, which is becoming a practicing physician. We have the small class sizes with the 8-to-1 student to faculty ratio for all of those classes and your labs there. the different hospitals, and their state-of-the-art facilities that we also have too. Everything is really designed and geared toward getting you to that ultimate goal of becoming a practicing physician. Now, we've talked about where our graduates are, but look here too. This is the 2020-2021 US News and World Report's list of top US hospitals. We have graduates at every single one of these hospitals. So think about that. If you attend SGU, you get to become a part of this incredible, unbelievable network. We like to say, you know, proof is in the pudding. So you look here, and this could be you one day. This could be you in just a couple of years. And we're very excited for that. At SGU, you really become a part of that incredible network of doctors who have worked in specialties and are successful all across the US. I will leave you with one last quote before we go into some live questions here. And this is from Dr. Kimberly Lally, who is a UC San Diego graduate. SGU provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful medical student and land the residency of your choice. What you do with those resources is your decision. If you work hard, if you study hard and work hard, it will absolutely pay off in the end. And I think every single one of our panelists this evening, whether it's Moody, Lindsay, or Danish, have talked about what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And we want to make sure that you have those tools and resources, which is why we have all those incredible departments. I really feel that SGU is an outstanding educational experience that's going to help you get to that goal of becoming a practicing physician. Now, if you do have questions that you want our graduates, Danish or Moody, to answer, or Lindsay, please be sure to put those in the Q&A. I know I have a couple questions for them myself, but if after this evening you have future questions, feel free to give us a call at the admissions office. You can call the number right there on the screen. Take a screenshot of that with your phone or your computer or screen grab there. You can also talk to a current student. You can talk to somebody like Lindsay if you call that 1-800 number. Let them know that you have questions. It could be anything from why SGU to if you're starting school soon, you know, what size are the beds? Those current students are more than happy to answer those questions. So a couple questions that I have for our folks here is, Danish, why did you choose St. George's University for your medical school education?
Sure. So anytime you're picking, anytime I'm picking something, I want to do my research. I want to make sure that it's going to benefit me and it's going to get me to my goal. You know, pretty much the same, maybe not as much as when I was going for undergrad, but for grad school, I wanted to go to a university that's proven to put out its graduates into respected residency spots. A lot of universities talk about and they advertise, oh, you know, we get our graduates into residency. Sure, I didn't, you know, if anybody's from somewhere super rural, no offense, but I did not want to go there. Okay, I'm from a suburb of Los Angeles, very close to the ocean. I pretty much grew up there. And so I wanted to come back to somewhere where it's pretty heavily populated, something more urban, a competitive program. And I saw that SGU was putting out a lot of its graduates into very competitive programs. Also, I wanted to have my options open. I didn't want to go into a university where we're kind of getting the scrapes of, you know, the scraps of what's left after everybody else matched. I wanted to be competitive and get into a competitive program. And I saw SGU graduates were going into that. A few of my colleagues, just to highlight, people I actually went to class with, my roommates, emergency medicine, anesthesiology, now they're cardiologists, oncologists, hands and plastic surgeon. So very, very, very difficult. One of my roommates actually just finished in neurosurgery. Neurosurgery is almost impossible to get into. It doesn't even matter if you go into Harvard or Johns Hopkins University Medical School, people still don't get into neurosurgery. And so I had a roommate that actually just finished, it's a 7-year program. I just finished neurosurgery from Rutgers. So these are the type of things that I was looking into when I was picking SGU. One of the things that actually did help a lot was coming from UCLA. I had a lot of classmates from UCLA that actually went to St. George's. And so I was able to touch base with them. SGU has this really cool thing. When I went there, there was only 2 times you could get in, either January or August. Now we also, I believe, have April. If you're like me, you want to get to your end goal in the best way and quickest way possible. A lot of people will try to sit there and they will try to keep trying for the American system, get in, get in, get in. You know, at the end of the day, I have I have my degree. I'm working at Kaiser. I got to where I needed to get in California, Southern California. My friends got to where they wanted to get to. So it really isn't that beneficial to waste a whole another year to wait on a cycle, or another 2 years, or maybe I'll go get like 2 more degrees or a post back to, you know, if you're dead fast on a university that you really want to go to, then maybe that's fine. But most of you are here for a reason. And that reason is this, you know, and I was sitting in your seat not that long ago. I remember it was like a Hilton or something in Santa Monica. And I sat there and I was like, you know, should I really go here? Like, a lot of people say it's a Caribbean school and it's, you know, it's got that stigma, it's Caribbean. Yeah, it is a Caribbean school, but look at Moody. You know, he's a fourth year neuro resident at, you know, a prestigious hospital. I went to a super competitive program in California. And, you know, ultimately what you want to look at is you want to look at, hey, what are the pass rate on the boards? It's over 95, 98%, something like that at SGU. You want to see how many of these people who are graduating are getting into residency. Over 1,000 spots filled this last year. And I'm the type of nerd that actually goes and looks at every single spot that's filled from a graduate every year. Every match year I go and look at it. And it's amazing. Internal medicine, family medicine, pediatrics, general surgery, anesthesiology, emergency medicine, and the list goes on and on and on and on. A lot of these other places that claim to put their graduates in do not do that at that rate or at that level or volume or to those competitive programs. And so this is a very long-winded answer to your question, Emily, but these are the things that I was looking into when I was picking what university I want to go to. Furthermore, it helps that it is situated on one of the most beautiful, pristine spots in the world. I grew up maybe 15, 20 minutes max from Malibu. And then I went to undergrad where Santa Monica Beach was like two miles away. And so I did not want to go somewhere that was landlocked. And I wanted to go somewhere where it was just like everywhere you look, it's just beautiful. It's gorgeous. And so, you know, you're going to be stressed when you're studying. You know, in undergrad, I was kind of arrogant. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here at UCLA on a full academic scholarship. I can handle medical school, no problem, da 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 da. And people would tell me, no, medical school is different. When I got to medical school, I had to schedule my bathroom breaks and my lunch and dinner breaks. And so when you're that under pressure, and that's not novel just to SGU, that's every medical school anywhere in the world. And I have a lot of friends that went to medical school in other parts of the world, and you talk to them and it's pretty much the same experience. What better place to go to school than somewhere in the middle of the Caribbean? You know, the sunrises are beautiful, the sunsets are gorgeous. When you're stressed, you can go take a dip in the ocean, or just sit on the beach and listen to the waves crash. And so these are some of the main things that I looked at and that I would recommend anyone else to look at. And if if my kids decide they want to go to medical school, I'm not even going to have them waste time and apply anywhere else. I'm going to send them to SGU. And that's how much it really means something. It's a testament to how amazing SGU is when you have graduated, you've gone on, you've done your training, you're in the real life, you're practicing medicine, but you come back for these events. It's because SGU allowed us and gave us the opportunity to be here. And I would, I would be amiss if I didn't share my experience and let you know that you can also be here. And take advantage of it.
I think wonderfully said there, and not long-winded by any means. I like to refer to SGU as a family, and once you get admitted to SGU, you are a part of the SGU family, and we're going to hold on to you forever. Whether you are a current student or you graduated 20 years ago, you're ours. We're very proud of you. I have found myself that anytime I am looking for a doctor. I'm like, okay, well, where did they go to medical school? And I was very excited the other day that one of my new physicians is an SGU graduate. So just here in little Napa, there's actually over 20 SGU grads here in Napa County. So I'm excited for that. Now, Danish did talk about those special selective, places to match into, and he mentioned Moody there. So Moody, how did SGU help you get to that goal? How have we been instrumental in getting you to that goal of being a neurologist?
Yeah, I mean, Danish put it so eloquently. I mean, so there's a lot of things that SU does even behind the scenes to kind of make sure that you're the best candidate and putting your best foot forward when you apply for residency. And ultimately getting that interview is really kind of the hardest part. And then from there, you just kind of show them who you are, and in your academic profile, will show what you're capable of. But the school, when I say behind the scenes, I just want to backtrack to that. The school, I had the opportunity to actually go back and teach for about a year with Dr. Marcus Lucas, who's phenomenal. And the school puts a lot of effort in preparing the students for the USMLE, and really, I know we touched on this kind of briefly earlier. A strong basic science foundation is really kind of key to your success, to your STEP exams, obviously, and beyond, right? So when you get into residency, you want to be that competent resident. You don't want to be that, that, for lack of a better term, incompetent resident, right? That doesn't know what they're doing. You want to be able to say, would I trust, would you trust your family with them? And strong basic science foundation is key to that. And in order to do that, not only is the school going to give you the tools and the resources and the knowledge to do it, but they prepare you, and they prepare you in from every aspect. So for example, you'll do all kinds of clicker questions when you're in all your lectures. The clicker questions are very, very deliberate how they're set up and executed. Everything from down to the font size, to the number of characters in the question, to the answer choices, how realistic they are, and to the content that they're testing too. Is it applicable, and is it going to be in your lane basically for the STEP exam? And I saw that it wasn't any more evident really than when I was teaching there, because I got to help participate in making some of these questions. And so when you go take your STEP exam, it's like you've seen these questions 1,000 times over. You got the content down. Any medical school is going to teach you the content really, but you've got the psychological component that the school has really prepared you for. In addition to that, again, I don't want to be long-winded here, but the other big thing is autonomy and independence. If you're a introvert and you don't have good people skills, that will change quickly when you go through SGU. They're going to make sure that you are capable of handling multiple personalities. Can you communicate and effectively operate in a team? And can you deliver quality care with good bedside manner? And that is, you're going to find that, one day when you're sitting in your third and fourth year clinical rotations, and Lindsay, you'll see this, you're going to see poor quality medical students, and you're going to see strong quality medical students. And I can tell you consistently, SGU students are always strong because of their autonomy, because of their, they're so much more capable. If you're taking the effort to go down to Grenada to pursue your dream, that says a lot about your persistence and your personality. And it's so evident to the program directors and clerkship directors when they see you doing your rotations. And that explains why, as Danish said, that a lot of us are going into these very prestigious residencies and moving on to really prestigious fellowships. We just, our students are really that good.
To that point that Moody just made, I'll share an anecdote. When I was in my third year of medical school, I was rotating in, I did most of my clinical rotations in New York City. I was rotating in New York City with other medical students from Columbia and the other prestigious medical school out there. Doesn't matter. So the attendings would go around and they would ask, part of clinical rotations is they'll ask you medical questions. You're going to SGU and hearing everything, all the background nonsense. Oh, it's a Caribbean medical school, and you hear all these other people saying stuff. You feel a little bit inferior walking into it. But the transformative point for me was when the attending would ask questions about a patient or patient's care or some science question, I'd always be the first to answer, and my other SGU colleagues would be right there answering the questions. And these other people from these super prestigious medical schools are sitting there twiddling their thumbs. And you're just wondering, like, are they playing a game on me? Is this something like, are they just trying to make me feel better? But you very soon realize, no, your medical training and your education is very, very good. You have been trained really well, and you have been given the information and knowledge to succeed in your field. And it was that point when I was just, so excited and so happy to have chose SGU because I was excelling and I was doing better than medical students from other very prestigious universities.
Wonderful. And it's very true. You hear about the bedside manner of our graduates. I mean, I think just the gamut that we have of folks who are able, whether it's a current student or a graduate, that they participate in our different webinars. Hopefully we'll be back to in-person soon within the next couple of months there too. But I'm very much an advocate of that. In order to be a good physician, you also have to be good with people too. And that's something that we know is important to our SGU foundation there. So I've got a question for Lindsay, and then we'll wrap up with some advice, some parting words of advice from our panel, and then we'll bid you adieu. But Lindsay, why did you choose SGU? You're the most recent one. You just started in January 2020. What was it about SGU, aside from the amazing beach and the food there, that made you choose it?
The exact same reasons Danish talked about, word for word. When I went and I looked, and I'm going to briefly go over this, and then I'm going to tell you why, as a current student, I would choose SGU again. So I went through and I was looking at, the top 3, the top 4 in the Caribbean. First of all, it was the most gorgeous campus. So I was like, okay, that's a pro in the SGU column. And then you have a very high first time step 1 pass rate, a very high first time match rate. And so I was going through all of these things. I was like, okay, this is cool. But my biggest thing was, I want to be a surgeon. And naysayers will always tell you, you can't be a surgeon if you go to a Caribbean school. And so I was like, okay, I have to make sure wherever I go that I am going to be able to get into a residency that I want to get into. So I looked at those residency positions, and exactly what Danish said. When I looked, there was a guy that matched into a neurosurgery residency, which everybody knows is the top of the top of the top. And SGU placed an individual into a neurosurgical residency. And so you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I was thinking to myself, if I go there and I utilize their resources, I can do the exact same thing. So everything that Danish said, but now I'm going to tell you why I would pick it again. 3 reasons. One of them I've already talked about is that SGU doesn't wait until you're failing out of medical school to intervene and give you the resources. That's a really big one. And the other 2 that I've found being a current student is, number 1, the curriculum. I have really come to respect the curriculum at SGU. I think that it was curated with students in mind, with step prep in mind. So for example, we are a module-based curriculum. You move from system to system. Year 1 is a lot of anatomy and physiology. And the analogy I like to use is that in year 1, SGU kind of gives you part of the puzzle. They give you like the edge pieces. They give you a chunk here and a chunk here. So you can see the picture. You know what the picture is eventually going to be, but you might not understand it as a whole. And then in year 2, you go back over and you do the pathology, the microbiology, the pharmacology of the systems. And it's like they give you the rest of the puzzle, and your brain has kind of been marinating in all of this information for an entire year. And you get to the second year and you get the rest of the puzzle pieces, and you're like, oh my God, I get it. Not, I'm learning all of cardio in 6 weeks and I have to master cardio and move on. It's you're learning cardio in year 1, and then you're learning it in year 2. And by the time you get to year 2, it makes so much more sense. I had so many aha moments in the last few months. It was crazy. So curriculum. And then the last point, the support, oh my goodness, guys. DES, we've already talked about it, but I want to talk about the more unofficial support that the university has. First of all, we are not a cutthroat, in it for yourself university. We are a big, happy family. even in your term, if you reach out into your group chat and say, hey guys, I need help, I need this resources, somebody's going to give you something, and then they're going to give you 10 more things. And so every single person is there to help you, and upper terms are there to help you. I told you guys I was a DES facilitator, but now as I've gotten, into my later terms, I'm doing it kind of on my own. So me and a friend of mine, every single weekend, we do reviews for every single term below us. So we're term 5. We do it for term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. We are giving back to all of the terms below us because of the support we got from upper term students. And it has been one of the most uplifting things I have experienced. And, it's so amazing being able to talk to my upper term friends who are passing step and who are getting into their rotations, but also see the students below us who are like, oh my goodness, thank you so much for helping us. We really are one big happy family. SGU wants you to succeed. A DES wants you to succeed. Your fellow classmates want you to succeed. The upper term students want you to succeed. And so if you are willing to put yourself out there, and it doesn't actually take much because help is there, you throw a rock and somebody's there to help you. If you are willing to put yourself out there, you are going to be met with an abundance of support. And as long as you are willing to take that support, to take those resources and utilize those resources, because it doesn't matter where you go, if you don't utilize the resources, you're not going to be successful. You can go to the upper, to the Ivy Leagues, sit there for 4 years, not use one single resource and fail out of medical school. You will be successful if you want to be successful, and SGU gives you every single possible opportunity to do so.
I love that, Lindsay. Thank you very much. And it's true. What I was saying before, and Lindsay helped to reiterate it too, is that your classmates, your peers want you to succeed. Everybody is there because we want everyone to be successful. I'm here tonight because I want to make sure that you're going to become a successful physician. You put a lot of work into it, and we want to see that dream come true there. So I do have one live question here for Danish, and then we're going to probably wrap it up with one last question here. But Danish, because I know you've been involved in this, can you explain more on how the process is for obtaining residencies obtaining interviews for residency? That is a question from Alejandro. So just a question about the interview process for residency and how do you actually get to that point of interviewing?
It's a there's actually a lot of layers to that. First, it's going to depend on your score, your USMLE score. So a lot of residency programs, what they'll have is you have to realize most residency, if it's a big program, it may have 20 spots for that position. If it's a small program, they may only have 2 to 4 positions at that hospital for that position. And each one of these programs are receiving upwards of 3,000 to 5,000 applicants every year. And so it's humanly impossible while practicing medicine to go through all 5,000 of those applications. So a lot of these places will have algorithms that will select a cutoff. For example, I'm just going to throw a random number out there. Don't hold me to this, but let's say 220 as a score. Anything less than 220, we're not even going to see. You could be the best applicant there is, but if your score is less than that, we're not even going to see it. So once you go make the cut, let's say your score is above 220, then we'll go through your application and we'll see, okay, what extracurricular activities has this person been a part of? What have they done to show their commitment in medicine? I mean, obviously, other than being in medical school. There's letters of recommendation from your clinical preceptors, and what we want to see is your interest in the field that you're applying to. Okay, a lot of people, what they'll do, and a lot of people, they'll go into medical school. For example, I went into medical school thinking I'm going to be an emergency room doctor. I used to be a medic. I worked in the emergency trauma center. And I went in gung-ho saying, I'm going to be an emergency room doctor. And then, I went to medical school. I did my rotations. And a lot of people, I want to be a surgeon and all that stuff. Well, you get to the rotation and you end up waking up at 3 a.m. every day and then getting home and then only getting 3 hours of sleep and going back. And you're like, I'm kind of rethinking of this, a little bit. This is a different type of environment, different type of culture. And you're only going to experience that once you're doing the rotations. And so the third year of medical school is when you should start, towards the end of it, you should start getting an idea of sort of what you want to do with the rest of your life. Because the fourth year of clinicals is when you want to hone in on those. For example, let's say you want to do family medicine. You get through third year doing all the different rotations that you're supposed to do. Fourth year, you do a couple extra of your electives in family medicine. Okay, let's say you want to do psychiatry and everything you've done up to this point is all in psychiatry, and then you apply to family medicine. Well, I'm going to sit there and say, well, you've done everything in psychiatry. You haven't really done much in family medicine. Why are you applying to family medicine? So, these are things that you should be planned out. Life throws curveballs and you can change and you can justify your answer, and that's completely fine too. But the main thing is studying really well, getting that high score on your USMLE, and then planning out your clinical rotations. Once you get all that, then hopefully you shine through to the program. A lot of times it's just a fit thing. People will ask when you're applying, why here? For example, Yuma, Arizona. It's on the border of Mexico and Arizona. Why there? There's absolutely nothing around. It's in the middle of the desert. I got family ties. My family's in Arizona, and so on and so forth. Put that in your application, and hopefully someone will read it and grant you an interview. So then once you get to the interview phase, and this is, Emily, you probably heard this so many times when I say this in other places, but once you get to the interview, don't rehash your CV or your resume. Okay, we've already read it. We already know where you went to school. We already know your grades. We already know your accomplishments, your extracurricular activities. You don't need to reiterate that. If you only have 2 minutes to set you apart from everybody else, use those 2 minutes to show who you are that's not already prevalent on paper. Like something about you that you cannot portray to us on paper. That's your time to tell us who you are, what your interests are, what makes you stand out as a person. And at the end of the day, when you're doing residency, as Moody can attest to this, that's your family. You're going to see those people. You're going to work with these people. You're going to see them more than you see your own family and friends. You're spending 3 to 4 to 5 years in the hospital with these people. You're going to eat with them. You're going to sleep next to them. That's it. So when you're going into residency, we want to make sure you're the right fit for us. If I have to spend more time with you than I do with my own wife and kids, I want to make sure I get along with you. Okay, so be yourself. Okay, if you don't get into a program, sometimes it's just because you're not a natural fit for that environment, and that's probably a good thing. You don't want to go somewhere and spend 3-4 years and get stuck with an environment or people that you're just not going to naturally gel with. So the best thing you can do at this stage is pick somewhere like SGU to go to medical school. All right. Number 2, study. Work smart, not hard. Doesn't matter if you're studying for 30 hours a day, it's not even 30 hours in a day, but some people make it somehow. That's not going to make you do better. You gotta utilize things like DES, group study sessions, stuff like that, because things that you don't understand, even after spending 30 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, someone else will pick it up really quickly and be able to explain it to you maybe in 10 minutes. Save yourself some time, utilize that. Score as high as you can on the USMLE. Give yourself the benefit of being competitive and going to a competitive program. Plan out your clinicals. Get a quick understanding during your third year of what you can see yourself doing for the rest of your life and what maybe is not conducive to your lifestyle that you would want to live. And then get in on the application process nice and quick. And then when you get to the interview phase, which you will, just be yourself. Don't try to rehearse and don't try to give these long, these scripted answers, because we'll see right through it. Just be yourself.
I love that advice of just be yourself, but you did steal my thunder a little bit for asking about the parting words of advice or what you'd even tell your, pre-med self there. And I think that it rings true of be yourself, be genuine in why you want to become a physician there. And I know that Danish has talked about that a lot, and it's so very, very true. But Moody, what if you could go back in time, what would you have told your pre-med self, knowing everything that you know now?
Oh, that's easy. I would tell myself to apply earlier to SGU. I worked in professional field for a number of years before I made that decision. And if I could tell myself, I'd definitely go back and if I had a time machine and say apply earlier.
I think that works absolutely. How about for you, Lindsay? What advice would you have given yourself there, your pre-med self?
Honestly, nothing. And the reason why I wouldn't say I would have applied earlier is because I have a rocky road getting here. I'm 31. I've done a lot of stuff before this. Every single experience that I did leading up to going to SGU has made me the person I am today. And it has made me the competent medical student I am. And it has made me the competent person I am. So I don't actually know if I would change anything. What I would say is just be open to the path that you're on. Be open to the opportunities that come to you, because not everybody is open to the possibility of a Caribbean med school. And I think that has a lot to do with the stigma placed on all Caribbean schools, no matter the reputation they have. And so I think the biggest thing is just go with the flow and don't listen to the naysayers. Do your own research, do your own investigation, and do what's right for you, honestly, because nobody can tell you what is right for you. Nobody can tell you the correct path to go down for you. And it's just, be okay with where you are. If it's not the traditional four-year undergrad, then go straight to medical school. That is perfectly fine. But you need to do what is right for you. Be open to the path in front of you. I'm going to echo Danish again and say you need to be yourself. You need to be truthful and, just go through this process knowing, with passion, with initiative, and with a goal in mind.
I love that. And you go through the process and know too that you have this huge team of cheerleaders all around you. From today, you've got Deborah and I, you've got Chanel on Facebook, Christina behind the scenes answering those questions. You've got Moody, Lindsay, Danish as well too. We all want you to be successful at this moment now, and we want you to continue to be successful and become that physician. So again, thank you all so very much for spending the time with us this evening. We know there's so many different things that you can be doing, but we're really excited that you're considering SGU for your medical school education. I think if you decide SGU, you'll understand why all of our graduates say that they wish that they did this sooner. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Deborah. Thank you again for joining us. If you do have any further questions, you can utilize that 1-800 number or email. If you are an international student studying here in the US, we also have wonderful colleagues with John and Beck. You can scan that QR code, send them an email, set up an appointment with them as well too. But otherwise, I bid you farewell and thank you again. It's all yours, Deborah.
Thank you, Emily. Wow, that was an amazing presentation. We had so many great comments in the Q&A, and I know everyone learned so much tonight. I want to say a huge thank you to Danish and Lindsay and Moody for all that you do. I am sure the audience appreciates the advice and guidance that you have all provided them tonight as they navigate options for medical school. And to our audience, thank you for taking the time and attention today. You've been a great group with excellent questions. As a reminder, we are still accepting applications for August 2021, so it's not too late to apply, and we are very much looking forward to seeing your application come in. So our team will continue to stand by to make sure we answer any of your questions throughout the Q&A box or Facebook comments section, so keep those questions coming in. Now, in the meantime, I would like to invite you to attend a future webinar and bring your friends and family to learn more about St. George's University. We are actually offering virtual panel presentations where our alumni will speak to their experiences completing residency and working with specific medical specialties. Now, you can find this on our website under the title Doctors on Call. Now, the next Doctors on Call series is SGU Family Medicine Physicians on Monday, August 2nd. And here you're going to be able to learn about 3 SGU graduates who chose family medicine as their career and SGU as the way to get there. There'll also be an opportunity for a live Q&A with the graduates following the discussion. Now, I will go ahead and share that link to these upcoming opportunities in the chat in just a moment. And while I do that, feel free to continue to add questions to the Q&A. So again, as I just mentioned, we will be standing by these last few minutes to answer any other questions through the Q&A box located at the bottom of your screen. Or again, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can use that comment section. And for those of you who do not have any other questions, we want to thank you so much for attending, and we really look forward to seeing you in Grenada soon. Just going to give it another moment or so until we have all of our questions answered. Looks like all the questions have been answered. So this officially concludes the webinar. Thank you so much for attending.